Hello Aries, Mara here with Daughter of Wind Tarot. Welcome. This is a general reading for the collective of Aries. And yeah, if you have any questions about watching Daughter of Wind Tarot, you can check out the link up there, or you can go hit the link downstairs. Okay, so let's just jump right in. I am using some different decks. I was led to, I don't know, this last round of Zodiac reads was a little intense. I haven't used these before on here. They're more of my personal decks. But I was led to use them. Probably just, I don't know, maybe it's the chill after new moon vibes or whatever. But yeah, I'm using my Mystical Shaman Oracle deck, as well as the Good Tarot by Colette Baron Reed. And any of the decks I use on the channel, I've got links below. If you want to check them out, you can purchase them on Amazon. Super easy peasy. It's actually how I learned tarot, is I purchased decks that I saw other readers liked or were using that I connected to, and then I started kind of shuffling along with them. It was really crazy because, like, they would get they would get a card, I would get a card, like, that's how I realized, like, this stuff is real. Or somebody would say something like, I don't know, like, I don't know, like, it's strange, it's really hard to, yeah. You can always purchase a deck and follow along with the readers so that you can kind of get to know the cards and everything like that. But magical things will happen too, I guess is what I'm trying to get at. Anywho, so we're going to get an oracle card or two. Usually only 2 or 3 of these pop out of here. I'm trying to just hope for one because I'm going to read them off. It's a really intense deck. Ooh, we've got one. That it does have, it has messages in the upright and the, wow, that's really interesting. One more, okay. I've got the arrow reversed, the rattle upright. Oh wow, and we got 2 more. Wow, okay, Aries, let's get into this. These beautiful cards. The arrow, the rattle, the owl, and the mystical shaman. All right, so I don't know if I'm going to read all of these off. I am going to get the arrow. Okay, got it. All right. Let's see here. Number 3 is the arrow, which is what we were starting off with. So the arrow in the reverse. Receiving the symbol reminds you that when you're in alignment with your heart and soul, you are on target and will soon be hitting your mark. Be true to your calling, release attachments, and free yourself from the bondage of unbridled ambition. Now is revealed to be a moment of contact in which your intention meets the material world. The arrow also symbolizes the need to set your creativity free. And the medicine of this card is, this is a time, because it was in the reverse. This is a time to admit that by continuing on the path you're on, you might be shooting yourself in the foot. Could it be that you've become so attached to winning this game that you've missed the true mark? What if your arrow was never meant to land where you wanted it? Now is the time to regroup and ask yourself what you desire, if what you desire is really worth your energy. This is a sign that something better is waiting. Consider the wisdom in not getting what you want. Suffering in this case is a path to heal the parts of you that feel unworthy. The parts that worry there isn't enough. Make peace with those voices. What is truly yours will be waiting for you. So I hope that hits home to the collective of Aries I'm tapped into. Just intuitively, and from what I've read from the book, the rattle it's a call, right? A call to arms. This is in the past, and then I have the present, and then I have the future position here. And so the rattle speaks to me about you putting out the call to your higher self and to your spirit team, your ancestors, whatever it is, whatever you believe in, to your God, source, spirit, universe, and asking for guidance, right? Guidance as to where you want to go, and And I feel like present-wise, we have the owls. You know, owls are all about wisdom. But to me, I believe that the owls come to us, you know, in the spirit realm. You don't see a lot of owls around unless you live on a farm and you got an owl box or something like that. I see hawks all the time. I see, you know, I can't say I see eagles, but I've definitely seen more eagles in the daytime than I have owls. Right? They are nocturnal, but for me, they just represent, you know, our dreams, intuition, the spirit realm whispering in our ears. And so I feel like your answer is here if you look for it. Look how intense he is. But you've got to look and look at that third eye right there, opening that up. You know, here I see this disc in the background. It almost feels like, you know, spirit. I watch Tarot, and she's always talking about the positioning of the cards. Actually, I'm using the Good Tarot. This is a deck that she uses. About things being behind you, coming in from the spirit realms, versus things are in front of you, like a card. And so the card that we have in front of you is the mystical shaman. And that, oh wow, you know, it's really coming out to me as this projection of himself, right? Yeah. Being there, but putting yourself, I mean, somebody, you know, people could say that talks to astral travel. I don't know a lot about that, but I just see, yeah, it's connected here to his mind's eye, projecting himself into the future of what you want to do. What is your intuition telling you? What is coming from behind? What are you getting in your dreams? You know, I'm not much of a dreamer. I asked my spirit team to actually shut down my dreams, that I wouldn't remember them because they were getting so crazy and I was waking up exhausted. So I know I've got a lot of stuff. I wake up and I remember little bits and pieces, and I'm like, you know what, let's just leave it that way. So you can always do that if your dreams are really intense. Or you can set an intention, which I do at night, before you go to bed, of what, you know, what answers you want. I don't necessarily want to be shown. I just want to know that when I wake up, it's in my subconscious, and that the answers will reveal themselves to me, versus me like wondering, what did that mean, you know, in that dream or what have you. That's just how I operate. Some people love dreaming. They love lucid dreaming. It's just not something I really enjoy anymore. Just after many years of a lot of nightmares when I was in a super low vibrational place, it's just, and a lot of insomnia. So yeah, I just think that, you know, I feel like you've put out the call, you've asked, it's here. I feel like it's here. I don't know if you're necessarily seeing it though, because look at how tense you're looking at the future, right? Projecting, look at how much you're projecting the future. Can I see into the future? And what I feel spirit is telling you is that it's right here, it's right behind you in your subconscious, right back here, and that you just have to look. Even though you're asking for it, you're looking for it in the wrong place. The answers you need, you know. And that's the thing about tarot as well, as people are wanting to know, what's in my future, what's my soulmate, what's going to happen, what's this, that, and the other. But honestly, all the answers are right here, right, sitting in front of us, right? If you open your eyes and really get still, that's another thing that, you know, I had to start doing. I was a person, especially as a flight attendant, that I got to a point, you know, when I was a little girl, I was an only child for a very long time. I could, just like I can now, entertain myself 4 days on end with a stick and some mud, right? I didn't grow up. I am one of those kids. I'm 40. 1996 is when the internet came out, I believe, or at least I recall it. In, you know, I wasn't allowed to watch secular television, much less, you know, get on the internet or anything like that. But, you know, we didn't have cell phones. We didn't have, you know, I had a Nintendo. I mean, kids had Nintendos and Ataris and stuff like that. But I just feel like we were able to be in a place where we were able to listen more to our intuition, because we didn't have all this energetic, electronic interference, if you will. And that we're getting away from that, and refusing to see the signs and synchronicities that are right in front of us. You know, one thing I learned when I was flying is, man, there really aren't any kind of coincidences. And I don't even have story. I mean, I have plenty of stories, but I don't have anything, one particular thing where I can say. It's just, when you get outside of your world and you get outside of your county and you start meeting different people and you start hearing all these stories, like hundreds of thousands of people, right, that you're exposed to as a flight attendant, and realizing that even though people may look different and come from a different place, we all have the same emotions. We all have the same, we all come from the same place, which is mean that we were all children with great parents or fucked up, or, you know, pardon my French, but screwed up parents. you know, abuse, neglect, what have you. We all come from those same places. We all have those shared experiences. And so it's just like, I don't know if anybody's ever, you know, any of you have ever worked in a restaurant business, or like, let's say an office environment. And although you may change the actual physical structure of the building, you meet the same kind of people and over, you're like, that person reminds me of, even though they look nothing the same, they play that same role, right? Either the backbiting, stabbing person, or the person that cooks for everybody and is always bringing food in and is just super jolly and awesome. And, you know, we have these same archetypes, right? That's what they talk, you know, Carl Jung, and they talk about, you know, in psychology, talking about archetypes and, you know, how we fulfill a certain archetype, and how, and that's what we're here for, is to try and break through. I think sometimes these archetypes of, like, your parents, you know, being the oldest, I always had, you know, a lot of pressure to be the perfect one. And my brother was, you know, jealous of me because our parents pitted us against each other. Why can't you be more like your sister? But he was the kid that, like, didn't have a care in the world because he didn't have to be the first one out to be the perfect child, you know. And that's why they say, oh, the middle child or the redheaded stepchild or whatever, because people are treated in a typical way, and then we come out and we treat others in a typical way, and it's all from our programming, right? And what we've come to believe by the people that have raised us, and the circumstances that we put ourselves around or in. And so what I found is that, you know, in my travels, like, I'm so well traveled, but seriously, you know, being exposed to other people, like my parents, we had an exchange student in our home almost every single year that I grew up, like school year wise. So I was exposed to a lot more people and a lot more situations, and it just, and even though, you know, I have this widened base of experiences that I've had, I still see the same things over and over. And that's what we need to get down to. We don't need to focus on our differences. We need to focus on what makes us the same. And that is that we all hurt. We all have similar shared experiences that we need to acknowledge in each other, you know. And so I guess I'm getting to a point where I realize that in order to be a straight shooter, and when people are like, you know, how do you trust yourself? You know, I trust myself. I know who I am, but do you? Do you really? Do you fulfill the things that you're going to, when you say you're going to do something, do you actually do it? Do you do the right thing when no one's looking? Right? That's integrity, is doing the right thing when no one's looking. Do you, you know, in my field, you know, in the restaurant business or whatever, do you scrub out those pots even when the management's gone home or whatever? Or do you just kind of spray it off, or, you know, something along those lines? Or like when I was flying, people were like, oh, well, we're not in our home base, so we don't have to cross the seat belts. Yeah, but if you take pride in your job, you don't want people, you treat that plane the way you would treat your home, and you always want to leave it better than how you came on it, you know. And so just because somebody's there not watching you, are you doing the things that you're supposed to be doing to yourself? Are you saying, yeah, I'm not going to eat that, or yeah, I'm not going to do this, and then you're like, oh, well, I have nobody here to hold me accountable, so I'm not going to do it. That's how we cause ourselves to not trust in ourselves. You know, because when we say, oh, I'm going to go out with him, but I don't want to go out with him because I may sleep with him, or I may eat this, or I may this, that, and the other. Like, really? So who is in control? Because that's obviously not you. Well, I feel this way, whatever. You are in control. You have the control to say no. You have the control to say yes. You have the control to keep your legs crossed, right? We say, oh, well, I can't help it. Well, that's in your realm of possibility to change. So we really need to take more responsibility for ourselves, and only then can we point the finger. And I can't even say that we point the finger. Every time I point the finger, every time I see someone, every time I'm triggered, I hate that word, but I'm triggered by someone, and I'm like, who do they think they are? Like making money or taking donations or this, that, and the other. I turn that finger and I point it right back at myself, and I say, you know what? What is it in me that is jealous or envious or feel like they don't deserve something? Because honestly, or I can do it better than them. But you know what? I'm sitting here, just like when it comes to politics, I don't want to get into it, but we sit on our couch and we point our fingers at people saying they're doing something wrong. But you know what? At least those people are off of their couches and doing something, putting them in a place where they are subject for all to judge them. Right? So unless you're getting up off of your couch and doing something about the things that you're bitching and moaning about other people doing, I have no respect for you. Unless you put yourself and willing to put yourself out, even on a platform like this. I have been wondering whether I'm going to turn my comments on or off, because I am terrified of the lashback that I'm going to get from, let's say, talking about this when I'm supposed to be pulling tarot cards about your soulmates, right? That's why all the people that you'll see in my list of readers that I watch will tell you about themselves. A lot of them are moving away from the soulmate stuff. Water baby freak. She's not even doing zodiacs anymore. Zodiac signs, because people are so codependent on it, you know. And I love Santara. I talk about her a lot because she looks at the artwork. Like, I feel like, you know, she's using this creative force that's what's inside her to interpret the messages that the divine is giving to her in a way that people can connect with without, you know, looking to see what story is going to play out in their lives. We are the creator of our own stories, Aries. I'm sorry that I'm yelling at you. I don't mean to be yelling at you, but it's just ask. It's here. Receive. Stop projecting. Stop projecting yourself out into a different reality than what you are right now. If you watch Vanessa Van Edwards, she has People School, and she's talking about goal setting, right? And we set our goals, but you know, what do people, we fantasize about ourselves. We think of ourselves as celebrities in the next 10 years. Oh, I'm going to be here. I'm going to be married. I'm going to have the perfect kid. Or I'm going to have this, that, and the other. But how do we get there? What are the actual steps to getting there? If you want to be in a healthy relationship, what did your last relationship look like? That's how I started doing the work here. Is like, I realized that after my marriage, I met a guy who, regardless of whether he was a great guy or not, I knew that in order to be healthy, to get into my next relationship, I needed to deal with the crap that I had to deal with within my marriage. And then I went down a big ass rabbit hole that started off with, oh my God, I hate men. I love men now. But that's where I started, and it was like a year-long, I guess, ascension, awakening, whatever it is they call it. I don't know. I didn't even start listening to tarot until about 9 months ago, and I was terrified of it, absolutely terrified of it, because I grew up going to church, you know, 4 times a week. It's of the devil, all the things that I'm afraid of people accusing me of, which they have been. And now I have to stand in my truth and say, you know what? Screw religion and, you know, organized religion. I am a spiritual being, and I'm going to stand up for who I am and what I am. And you can say whatever you want about me, but I know who I am because, you know, I proved myself. I don't have to prove myself to you. I have to prove it to me. And that's what we're here for. That's what us readers are here for. We are reading the energy that is in and around you at this time. It is your choice to make that future. If you say, oh, you said this was going to happen and then it didn't happen, you know why? Because it's called free will. Right? It's called free will. You may be on a path, but that is the beautiful thing. We don't have a higher power that's a puppet master, right? Making things happen or whatever. We make the choices, and then we have to deal with the consequences. And then people say, I can't manifest this, or men are always like this. That's what you're manifesting. That is absolutely, you get what you bring in, and you can only get to a different level. You can only attract a different soulmate. You can only make better money unless you do something different. And I'm not going to say the quote that everybody says because it's absolutely right, but how do we change it? So that's what I'm here on this, like, the last zodiac signs, and I love it. I love getting into the stories and helping people empower themselves to make those decisions where they are at and moving forward. I do love that, but there has to be a backstory. There has to be a way that we get out of that mindset and not just focus on, you know, I had a title and I wanted to be like, who is the redhead? Who is this thief? And I was like, I don't want to have this inflammatory title on here so people will click on my view because it sounds like I'm trying to make them see, you know what I mean? Make this big deal on who this person is. It has nothing to do with the person it is. Why did you put yourself in a situation where you were dating someone who would cheat on you? What is in you that attracts that type of person? That's what we want to look at, and that's what I want to look at on this channel. And I didn't know how I was going to come out and say this, and then I was just told, like, my stomach kind of turned when I went to my other decks. I got those decks because they were very explanatory, and I was able to use them and deliver the messages that, you know, that I'm getting, you know, read the cards to you. But it's much more than the cards. It's much more than the players in your life. It's who are you? You are the avatar. You are the bag of bones and the spirit-filled being that can change your life today. It is your perspective. That's why I say watch all of the zodiac signs, because we have all of those energies. We are able to harness those energies inside of us. So when we look at the whole being of the collective and listen to all the stories, if it's not our story, it's not resonating with me, but it's resonating with someone else. And are you sure it's not resonating with you, or is it a story that you don't want to hear? Right? Do you only click on the tarot readings that you say, oh man, 10 of Pentacles? Yeah, I'm going to watch that one because that's all I want to hear about. I don't want to hear about, what do I have to let go? I used to hate that card in my Moonology deck. What do you have to release? I'd put it back and keep shuffling because I'm like, I don't want to face what I have to release. Although knowing that nothing else is going to change. The situation in the card would keep coming up out and out because it's reading my inner energy. what I'm putting out there. That the cards, they're beautiful pieces of work. They are a tool. They are a conduit. I beg and implore you to get your own deck, because this is the only way. And my decks are my best friends now. They are, because when I'm feeling bad, when I'm feeling lonely, when I'm feeling whatever it is, I'm like, where am I at right now? What brought me to this place? I am able to ask and confer and create a spiritual language with my higher being and using my intuition, and it just opens, you know, and it's a subconscious tool. We are dealing with our subconscious. We only use 90% of our brains. What the heck do you think the rest of your brain is doing while you're not using it? You're on autopilot. You do the same things. You go to the same way to work, and you drink and eat the same things. You say the same things to your friends. You make the same phone calls. You do the same thing when you wake up in the morning. So how do you expect anything to be different? How do you expect when you're saying, oh, that's my type, that type of guy, the narcissistic guy or the gaslighting guy or whatever, and you get hooked on that like runner, chaser, twin flame kind of crap? No, but like, oh, the nice guys, I don't like the nice guys. Why don't you like the nice guys? Ask yourself, why don't you like the sweet guy? What is it? Because you feel like you don't deserve it. Why do you feel like you don't deserve it? Because maybe your mom was overly critical like mine, and you felt like you felt like a piece of shit. Just because you weren't like diddled when you were little doesn't mean that you haven't been traumatized in some way, somehow. And if you open your eyes and you expand past your consciousness and what you've got, what's put in front of you by the media, and start looking at like, not like, oh, how do I just self-love? I just drink some tea and I play with my cards and I like paint my fingernails, and that's self-love. No. Self-love is taking care of that inner child. What does that mean? That means asking yourself the hard questions. I protect myself now the way I would protect a child. If I had a daughter and a man treated her in a certain way, and if he didn't call her back, or if he just ghosted her, this, that, and the other, would you tell your daughter to keep calling him back and to keep like, hey, what's wrong? Or just sending him pictures and all this other stuff? No, you would say, drop that loser. So why aren't you telling yourself that? Men and women, right? So that's what I have off of those 3 cards. We're already at 22 minutes. So I think that's your reading. I am going to get your, gosh, Aries. This is reading number 1. I'm going to get some advice for you, and then I'll let you sit with that. If you have any comments, subscribes, likes, shares, you know, great, go ahead and do it. Please contact me. I'll be putting up a Patreon page, and I will be doing all the zodiac signs, and I will be setting the intentions of love. You know, I'm getting up and running, but yeah, I guess that's where we're at right now. So let's get some advice. Please still love me. You know how little this card comes out? Aries, believe in the impossible. Blue moon. Believe. Don't shoot yourself in the foot. Believe when you put the call out that the answer is here. Don't project into the future. Deal with the here and now, and believe in the impossible. Thank you so much. Blessings, and we'll see you next time, Aries. Bye.